How's it going, you guys, and welcome to your morning cup. We start today off with Donald Trump's farewell address. Now, Donald Trump is officially out of the White House. He's made his final farewell address, and he is now going to be heading on back to Florida, where it all happened in the first place. Forgot these. There we are. Now, we move on to Donald Trump laying out whatever he did in the past 4 years. He did a lot in the past 4 years, and whether we like Donald Trump on a personal note or not, we have to admit to the fact that he actually did get a lot done. Yeah, his policies and the way he went about things, yeah, they were a little iffy, they were a little touch and go initially, and even today. There's a lot bad about him than there is good about him, and we know that for a fact. But the point of the matter is that he did a lot under his Trump term than we otherwise could contemplate in just like this brief sitting. So, there was a lot of counter China approach. There was a lot of making the world pay more approach. There was a more of killing ISIS's leader approach. There was a more putting together the first official space force approach. There was launching astronauts from American soil again, which is an actual big deal approach. And then there are all these tiny little things on the side as well. The point of the matter is that Donald Trump is now officially done. His term is over. Donald Trump is out of the White House, and now within the next 5 hours or so, we'll have a new president-elect of the United States, and that's going to be Joseph R. Biden. Now, the issue here, what we stand at today, is the fact that in this brief period, there is no president of the United States. So consider that something was to go horribly wrong at this point in time. I believe Speaker of the House becomes president or something. Not really sure, but if something was to happen at this very instance, God forbid, in this next 5 hour span, Speaker of the House would immediately be promoted to president, I believe. I think that's how it goes. I'm not really sure. We move on to China. Now, China has got some serious allegations against it by the United States. The United States claims that it has now found evidence that China was literally putting together concentration camps for Uighurs. Uighurs are like a small concentration of Muslims in China. And China has been known to be discriminating against them for numerous years now. But the point of the matter is that today United States put out a statement stating that it has now found evidence that concentration camps were used. And if concentration camps were used, that just points towards massive genocide against a group of people, which is by no means legal in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, it's against Geneva Conventions, and the United Nations is not going to be very pleased when it finds out this was China's approach, even though China is very well aware of the fact that the history of concentration camps is still very fresh in the memory of those that suffered through them. Basic point being, China is now facing repercussions for most of its actions, including COVID-19, including hiding COVID-19 facts, including not letting the WHO team get into play first. As a matter of fact, an independent panel has also gone as far as to say that the WHO and China did not do enough to put this virus on the back seat when they should have, and if they would have done their jobs, that the COVID pandemic would be literally half of what it is today. We are finding new variants coming out of Germany, which is the latest news, which is just shocking. But the basic point being that now it's turned into a point wherein numerous continents and numerous countries have started to suffer from strains that are limited to their own countries. And then other countries get super freaked out because if this strain then manages to reach their soil, it's a whole new wave. Plus, now with the vaccines limit now being capped out to a year, we now understand the fact that you might have to get this vaccine every year or every 6 months, depending on how much better we can make it. But for now, it's not a one-time thing. You can't just get yourself injected and then you consider yourself to be impervious to COVID for the rest of your life. That is not how this vaccine works. As a matter of fact, specialists are even scared that people who might have contracted this virus in the very initial stages now might again be, well, more than likely to conceive it again. Technically, antibodies do not last that long. According to researchers, people who might have contracted this virus earlier, they're now in the same boat as everyone else who still hasn't contracted this virus or who still is in fear of being exposed to it. We move on to Thailand, and a quick story out of Thailand states that a 63-year-old woman was jailed in Thailand today because of, well, calling out the monarchy. That's why. Because she said something that the monarchy did not like. Because there is apparently a rule in Thailand that you cannot criticize the monarchy. And if you do criticize the monarchy, you're put in jail. We're living in 2021. That's all I have to say about that. We move on to the United States and the capital reinforcement that was put into play. Well, it turns out that 12 National Guard troops have now been removed from duty and removed from their posts at the Capitol building because of links being found between them and certain far right groups. FBI was doing intense background checks as we covered in yesterday's episode, and turns out that their background checks have now come out to be kind of fruitful because these people have found out that certain insiders could have attacked the inauguration ceremony, and hence they've been removed from duty, which is very serious and very preemptive, which is lucky for the FBI to be on track. But consider this: if they weren't removed from duty and if this might have just slipped through the cracks, could they have done something drastic and devastating to the United States and its democracy by attempting to assassinate President-elect Joe Biden? That's just horrible to even think about. But the point of the matter is that disaster has been averted, and these 12 individuals have been relinquished from duty. We move on to the final story of the day, and the final story of the day is about climate change. Now, why climate change? Now, there is evidence that cannot be denied about climate change. And what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the Sahara Desert. Yes, the biggest desert in the world. Yesterday had snowfall in it. Snow fell in the Sahara Desert. Yes, it's not super uncommon, but it doesn't happen every single year. It doesn't happen every single 5 years. It doesn't happen every single 10 years even. It is quite rare and quite exquisite when you look at a desert and see snow on it in Africa, near the equator. Just blows your mind and blows your contemplation of what you might have expected throughout the years when you learned geography in school and understood that the equatorial plains are hotter than the poles. And now the equators are getting snowfalls, whereas the poles are just frozen by now. Climate change is real, people. Global warming is real. We are accelerating our climate change at a pace and at a rate that it should not be accelerated at. Hence, why it is getting tougher for us to even begin to realize that we have to start catching up. We're already way behind with climate change. And if we don't start catching up now, it's going to get to a point wherein it's way out there, it's way gone. We're still here with our hands in our pockets, wondering where we went wrong. As the tidal waves approach, we don't want that now, do we? We need to be preemptive about things. Take climate change seriously. With that being said, Donald Trump is officially gone. Biden is officially in. The world, from this moment onwards, is never going to be the same. Maybe it gets super better. Maybe it gets super worse. Maybe things change at a pace that's getting a little too much for us to digest. But the one thing you can rest assured believe is that we'll be here covering all of that. All of what you need to know with an unbiased opinion, because that's just what independent journalists should do. That being said, this has been the Morning Cup. See you soon.